Town Council to order. Today's Tuesday, October 7th. It is 4:05 p.m. And our first order of business today is our regular meeting with Interstate Navigation, which is always an important part of the year. And I should start by saying, I view our relationship as vital to the future of the island. And I know we had some bumps in the road this year, but those were bumps in the road, that happened a long time ago. So I really appreciate you being here. I don't know if you guys want to give us any sort of update. I'll just, if it helps, I'll tell you what's sort of been on my mind. And I think probably everybody's on some level, and that is the stress that particular 4th of July stuff put on everybody. And when I say everybody, I'm including you. And we haven't met as a council to really sort of peel the layers back, but I'd love to hear at some point. And it doesn't have to be today, by the way, because that's not fair. But I'd love to hear, like, what are the things we can do together to try to mitigate that kind of stuff? Because obviously, no one has the resources to manage it when it has happened. It's the only good thing to do is to try to figure out ways to warn people off or be more aggressive about enforcement or what have you. So that's just the thing that's on my mind, and that's not to put you on the spot. It's just that's kind of one of the things I've been thinking about. I think we all have. How's everything going?
Good. Well, let me just, I'm Mike McElroy, as most of you know. I'm the lawyer for the company, and Josh Linda is here, and Athena Linda is here, Jeanette Centracchio is here, and Megan Moran is here. So, we've got a lot of bases covered.
Yes.
To answer any questions you might have. I don't have any opening statement or anything, and I don't have any suggestions for how to address the 4th of July, but, mainly that's what we use Bill for, which is to try to cover those bases for us and coordinate with the police department and coordinate with you guys. That's, he's the company security officer. So Bill steps into that, and we listen to Bill and try to take guidance from Bill in those areas. But if you guys have suggestions, we'll of course consider them. And thank you for having us out here. I'm glad it seems like we're going to get back to doing it every year, because that's a good thing.
Yes, I agree.
And Keith, just addressing on the 4th of July, just which a lot of people don't realize, we have between the boat and the police department a good working relationship.
Yeah.
And one of the things, and there's always room to improve, and looking for suggestions from there. And I think that the key is the cooperation with the police department. For instance, one of the things we did this year, and I don't want to talk too much on strategies that Paul has, but I'll just on the chief has. But like one of the things that we were able to do this year was Megan was able to pull some of the analytics that gave the ridership for July 4th. And Megan, you can actually address that.
Yeah, with our ticketing system for the,
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Is it on? With our ticketing system, we use, we're constantly watching, especially for July 4th, because a lot of our pre-sales sell out. So we could tell with our analytics that it was a young crowd, due to, not that they put their age in, but due to booking of one ticket rather than a family booking.
Oh, interesting.
So you can really tell that it's a younger crowd typically when you see a lot of that.
Sure.
So we were seeing a lot of that, like 2 weeks to a week out. And then we could also tell that most of the zip codes were coming from South County area of Rhode Island. So you could tell that it was like more of a local.
Could I just interrupt and ask one question? So this was, if you were getting bookings 2 weeks out, this is why it's so, like, I'm not Bill, you use the word improve. I don't I'm not suggesting that you guys need to improve. I'm suggesting, like, maybe there's something new we could do,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Oh, it's not saying,
That's
there's,
just-
there's always room for,
Yeah.
for.
So you knew, so you could see a trend a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ahead.
people book tickets months out.
Yeah,
So,
that's what, yeah.
you know, when they're calling us all winter, when are you opening for online reservations for passengers? So that's very typical to see. And then, you know, 4th of July is one of the busiest days. So obviously people are booking further
Yeah.
out. So we could see that. So, you know, we shared that information with Bill and then he was able to take that to the chief to kind of tell him like what we thought our kind of passengers were looking like for that day and plan accordingly. We put out some messaging on our website and social media. And we did coolers on the freight deck on the morning trips going over and did some, you know, we had signs up for the no drinking in public and things like that.
Yeah,
That we were able to do, but and we put out a message probably about 5 to 7 days out. We had a message on our website saying we're expecting, you know, a heavily traveled day, that type of thing, and for
Right.
you know, reminders for people.
right.
But some of that information, I think, funneled through the chief,
Yeah.
can target those areas where I know there was talk about how do we get message out to parents and that type of thing. Some of that information, but that we have there, funneled through the chief that they may be able to target that area. So
Mm.
those are some of the things that, from that end of it that could be, proactive,
Although
It's-
coolers aren't an issue.
No,
anymore. They
it's-
used to-
No, it's the Nalgene bottles in the backpack.
Yeah,
right?
it used to be-
Basically.
a lot of coolers, not anymore. Nobody brings coolers.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. See, the reason I asked about that 2 weeks is fossil that I am, because I don't have any of the social media stuff. I thought it was, relatively spontaneous. You know what I mean? That it might be a challenge to sort of anticipate that, there are hundreds of
Right.
individual tickets being sold 2 weeks out. Pay attention. I didn't, that's a great education for me. I didn't realize that.
But even having that area to say, okay, look, it's, let's say that area happened to be Providence or whatever it might be. That's the information the chief can take and he can
Yeah.
use for that he can use to, and that's what they did, the 2 years ago on the August 8th. They were able to track, state police were able to track. So I think some of those analytics could really be helpful the
Yeah.
other way. I had never thought about the zip code thing until Megan had brought it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Let me get a report. What is it?
Oh, interesting.
Something we have to keep in mind too is I think 4th of July is on a Saturday this year, right? So that's a much bigger potential problem.
Mention that too. Oh, I was gonna mention that as well, because it's not only gonna be a busy day for pedestrians, it's gonna heavily traveled vehicle
Right.
day as well. And yeah, and it is a turnover day, but the other thing, I mean, I've seen this in previous years that where the holiday falls is gonna also dictate when people travel, because the Friday is observed as a holiday as well as Monday. So I would expect people here, probably Thursday night through Monday. So it is going to be interesting to see how things shape up specifically with ticket sales also. I mean, we can kind of predict what the what the vehicle reservation stuff is going to be like, but it's going to be interesting to see.
And what the max is on that, right? As a practical matter on the cars, you sort of like, you can only fit so many,
But it's still, it's like a lot of activity in a short time period. Whereas if the 4th of July was in the middle of the week, it would be a different
Interesting.
thing to look for.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And if you take fewer cars, right, can you take more passengers or no?
It's not really a consideration anymore.
Okay.
Right.
The Manitou days it was.
But if the holiday was like on a Monday, then we would see a lot of people leaving the island 4th of July, like in the afternoon.
Right.
As opposed to going over in the morning, where on Friday, we had people going over for the day, but we also had people going for the weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
So when we start to head towards Monday of like when the holiday ends on a Monday, more people are coming all off on
Yeah.
4th of July.
Right, because
And
it'll
we
start
have less
on
people going
Thursday.
over in the morning.
Right.
Because looking at it this far out, there's some other considerations, right? Because we're going to throw a parade on top of this. And I think we really should think about like when are ferries landing? how are ferries unloading during the parade, right? Like, let's really think about it.
Mm.
Because otherwise we just have this gigantic mess.
Amy,
Yeah, Chief Dean couldn't be here today, so he sends his apologies, but that was the one issue that he wanted to surface was particularly, I think, the 11:30 coming over, arriving just at 12:30 in the middle of the parade, and whether there was any opportunity to reconsider that, the timing of just that one particular trip. So again, that doesn't need an answer today, but that was something he asked that we put on the table.
Is changing the time of the parade a consideration?
Yeah, but that is also a factor in the.
It should be
Yeah.
in the mix.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the chief did bring up, this past summer that where what the two, I think it was the high speed and Josh.
The Newport boat, yeah, he
Name
wanted
it.
the second trip out of Newport. We held it up a little bit, so it would let I think the Block Island was coming at 1 o'clock. It was unloading, then the Newport boat came in a little bit later, so.
So
would
the
be-
cars, so for him, just that 5 minutes, the chief was saying that 5 minutes,
Was.
the cars got off and then all the people could flow. So he had brought that up and brought the.
Yeah, and we took care of that one.
So, yeah, so I mean, I think the key is the communication from
Yeah.
that end, which is good. Just like with, Lieutenant Parati from the state police, on particularly on 4th of July and, VJ Day weekend. There were troopers that I think the town had come out also, and then we hired security for those boats also. But we were able to coordinate them all together so that they were going back instead of having like 6 troopers on one boat. He placed them all on different boats. So those are the communications I think that really are productive from that end of it, you know? But I do think to have Megan work with the chief from the social media end of it, I think would be beneficial to everybody.
And this year, we also did, with our text messaging system that goes to ticketed passengers, not the service that you sign up for, like on our website.
which
but
is
the-
like manna from heaven. I know I said this before, but you're my.
It's
hero.
been very helpful to us as well, but we actually have it, numbers of people that have booked tickets for a specific date and time. And we did text them, with an important, regarding 4th of July. And then we linked it to our website where we had, posted all the stuff on there too. So we can get communications out that way as well. And direct everyone to our website and then put up any information there.
Right. So let's say, for instance, if a ferry was unloading with cars in the middle of the parade, you might have the ability to say to them that they would have to exit the parking lot off to the, to the far side,
We-
and
we've
then
done
they would
that,
have to
done that.
go up Spring Street, and they're just gonna have to do a little driving to get to where they want. But that's like, if we could route people off, have the parade go up. If you're on the parade, your float's going up High Street, but if you're getting off the ferry, you're going up
Right.
Spring Street, and you sort it out,
Yeah.
right? Like, instead of having everybody wallow in town, and it can be so chaotic, and it's really just talking about 20 minutes.
One of the things we thought of kind of after we had a council meeting the week after, was the idea of the town being more sort of proactive in its communication on the mainland. This is not a you guys thing, but being really clear that sort of the party's over. We're going to be much more aggressive, and the department was. They were, as you guys know, just overwhelmed that day. It's not an easy day for anybody from rescue to the medical center to the police to everybody. But as Paul and Amy fleshed those thoughts out, it would be really helpful, I think, to be talking to you about what our core messaging is, so that hopefully they're echoed back and forth between one another.
Keith, also to that, I'm
Yeah.
thinking here, the highway signs that the DOT provides, that they're portable. You'll see it sometime over by when you come past Stop and Shop on the left.
Yeah.
I'm sure DOT, something could be coordinated coming down that escape
Well, the
road.
escape route.
Whether it be something from Drinking in the Public or whatever the message is, could be utilized with that too.
Yeah.
Would probably be helpful.
That's a good
Right.
concern.
I mean, because truthfully, like you guys are gonna sell out on the 4th of July, no matter what. I mean, as long as the weather is fair, but if you're selling tickets ahead of time, you're gonna sell out, but it would be so great if we could shift back a little bit to having families rather than a boat full of kids who aren't old enough to drink legally in a bar. So they all brought their alcohol with them in their water bottle. You know, they are the worst customer. They only spent enough, you know, they bought a ticket from you guys. They're not spending much out here at all. Like they are the absolute worst customer that we could appeal to. Like a family at least comes out and they buy lunch and they buy ice cream and t-shirts and you know, some cocktails and you know, they buy things, they spend money, they take a cab so their kids don't have to walk. And but that particular group that we had last year, like I said, they're not even old enough to drink. When we were for the fire department, when we were running the water station downtown, we actually had waitresses that were coming because these girls had had lunch at the beachhead and skipped on their tab. And then they happened to stop for water, so they got caught right in the water station. But I was like, wow, they're actually like a complete negative. They're not old enough to drink. They skipped on their tab at lunch. Like they're just the absolute ick.
Yeah.
So how do we get back to like attracting? I know the tourism council would have to be in on this, but how do we get back to like the families?
Well, we specifically, in the last couple of years of our marketing, it's all been towards families. We don't, on social media, we're not.
Yeah, I'm not blaming this on you
Yeah,
guys.
But
No.
Interstate itself has been, that's the market we're trying to attract. Like even our most recent posts, like Facebook ads, it's 2 children, like we're trying to,
Yeah.
that's where our advertising is leaning towards. So we do not try to push getting younger people, you know, younger
Right.
kids.
Oh, yeah.
No, they're doing it on their own.
Yes.
But it's
But we have like
hard.
a concentrated effort in our marketing and our advertising to advertise towards families.
Unfortunately, we're dealing like Fort Lauderdale has, and you know, the chief is is gonna have to probably do a full court press, and you need our support for it. You know, he talked about, you know, maybe using one of the sheriff buses. We can help out from that type of thing, but that's what it's gonna take a big push from there, and then support like from all the businesses, us and everyone else with it. But I think it's gonna take that big, you know, to get that message out, like, oh, this is not fun to go there. Or guess what, you know, if you're young, your parents may have called. If not, you're getting charged, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, my sense is that places like Fort Lauderdale, it just said,
That's it.
that's it, we're done. Enough already. Anyway. Well, we beat my dead horse. Sorry. I really look forward to working on that because I do think it's going to take everybody to turn that around.
I have one question. So is there a policy now on ridership if it comes, you know, if it's above and beyond, say like last holiday season? When does that trigger a conversation with other town departments? When do you, if the ridership, if you experience a high volume of ridership, when would you start communicating with the police department?
Well, typically, like on a holiday, 4th of July, VJ, Bill could attest to that. But in any weekend in the summer where we have, you know, and the weather's nice, they're gonna be coming out here, day trippers and whatnot.
One of the things, like, let's say URI is coming down, or the schools, the colleges.
Right.
So for instance, once we know of that, I get in touch with the chief. And the nice part about that is when it's a college and they charter the entire boat, we set it up like you're going into a stadium. We open bags, we go through the whole thing, and we can do that on that because, you know, it's not public transportation, it's a chartered, and that's part of, so.
It's all contained to the one boat.
Yeah, it's contained in one boat, it's contained in the agreement, like when URI comes down, if they have 800 people, whatever it is, we have it's contained to the one boat when we can, And then we come down, they get searched, it's like going, now, obviously something slips by, but
Yeah.
everything's taken out, they're told, hey, if you grab it, you're not going. And then we don't serve any alcohol on that, but we coordinate with the chief well in advance on that, so he can put on, particularly with those, because it's sometimes a little earlier in the season, may not have whatever staff on. But as far as like, you know, I mean, you know, the chief has been here a long time, so I mean, as far as numbers and so forth, there's no issue as far as communication, say, hey, listen, you know, we got something abnormal coming up, you know, or information that he wants from there.
We can tell too from like Jeanette and I can tell in the office when our pre-sales are, you know, on Tuesday for the Saturday upcoming, if they're starting to get almost pre-sale sold out, we're like, oh, wow, it's gonna be a busy Saturday, where typically we see Thursday, Friday morning, they start selling out for the
Right.
Saturday. So in regards to that, I mean, we could be in touch, be like, it's, you know, looking like a busy weekend. But I mean, pretty much every Saturday or Sunday, if the weather's looking good,
Yeah, it's gonna be busy.
Yeah.
it's gonna be a.
Yeah, they're all
you know,
busy.
The thing for weekends, people do have a tendency to check the weather. And if the weather's good for the weekend, we'll have a big surge. But if the weather's not gonna be good, it's like typically flat. So
Ah.
there's a lot of ways that we can tell what we're
Uh-huh.
happening. And then if the weather changes, then there's a big push the day before. So there's not really a science to it. It's just doing this for as long as we have a sense of what to expect and when.
Terrific.
You know, it's on the other hand, you don't want, you know, we want to have the boats leave full so that 10 short weeks, you know,
Sure.
to try to make, you know, make the money when the sun's out, you know.
Yes.
And people can book a ticket ahead of time for the high speed and for the traditional?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. How's that model? Are you getting a lot more tickets sold online now? Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes. Passenger tickets, yes.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's interesting.
I've never bought.
If you don't know what's gonna go on scanning, it's amazing. It isn't like, oh, it doubled. It's like, because everyone uses it, the grocery store, whatever, and they
Yeah, I
go
know.
online and just.
And they have the ticket right on their
'Cause
phone.
we're
There's no
old.
print.
I know.
Don't say it out loud, Molly.
So I have a different question. I'm just curious, like, just how do you guys feel about the parking over there? And I mean, it's tricky, right? I know it's not your parking, so it's not yours to solve, but I'm just wondering, us and you, like, we're gonna have to figure out some sort of solution to parking over there. So I don't know whether you guys have any ideas you've tossed around or any thoughts that you have about it, or.
Well, it's a big consideration because typically by 10:30 in the morning, the lots are full. So people are waiting for boats to come in, for people to come off who have had cars in the parking lot. And then that will create a space.
So
for
they're
them,
hanging out.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And there's really not a lot of alternatives there for them, which is unfortunate. The new parking lot across the street is
No, there,
higher than
there-
most.
there,
are
there
used
was
to.
some talk of the state building a garage a while back. You might remember that, Mike. But there's been nothing recent on that, but that was a possibility. Maybe 10 years ago, they had talked about it.
Yeah.
I was on that committee when we looked at that, and the cost of building a garage is mind blowing.
Garage is one of the most bizarre things in construction to me, how expensive they are. Because you look at them and you think,
Easy,
right?
Yeah, not much to them, yeah.
You know, when they're, you can even do them in precast and it's like, it's crazy to me how expensive they are.
I mean, do you think the idea of like remote parking lots would be something in the future? You know, like if you go to the Vineyard,
Yeah.
you park a couple miles away and take a van or, you know, a bus to the ferry. Is that like anything you guys think would be a future? I'm not saying like
No, I'm
anytime soon.
just sort of talking
Like-
about this.
We've seen more and more people that are, you know, Ubering or getting rides to the ferry. That's definitely been an uptick. A lot of people were parking at like Stop and Shop parking lot.
Yes,
getting
our daughter
Yes.
there.
does that.
Yeah.
My daughter does
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so we've seen a definite uptick in car services, dropping people off, people up. Like on the last ferries coming back at night, you'll see like a whole line of cars out front, which is like the only life going on down there. At 9 o'clock at night when the boat comes in, it's people picking people up that didn't, park down there, which you didn't really see years ago.
No,
But it's
no,
probably due
you
to
don't see any
lack of
taxis anymore either.
No,
But,
they're on Uber.
I suppose that if this discussion was well thought out and well planned out, it would be a consideration to go investigate this, but where would that overflow lot be exactly? And then what would we have there to take a chance on having a bus or a shuttle or anything else like that? And again, it's going to be communication, getting the information out to everybody, because we would have to leave wherever that lot was in time to get to the ferry and get everybody unloaded and get on that specific ferry. And if somebody didn't have a ticket for the very next boat, what are they going to do when they're there early enough? Are they going to come down to Galilee and wait? Well, they certainly could. So we've had, discussions within ourselves about what a good idea might be. But again, for us, it's like, oh, our wish list, what could we
Sure.
possibly do?
Right.
But I really like the idea of a parking garage. How that would ever happen, I have no idea, but I do think with thought, I don't know. Could we wear Black Island Commuters Park? Who knows? But I definitely agree that in the near future, we're gonna need to address that. Not just us, but the town as well, and the town of Narragansett maybe even.
Well, the state too, because the state controls that.
And I had to say, I think Amy would agree. Terry Gray has been really responsive to us on, he's the head of DEM. And Amy actually worked with him. And there's now a little lot that you guys are aware of, kind of what direction that would be, where people who have medical emergencies, that sort of thing, but in the summertime are concerned about losing their spot in the state lot. If they have a Friday morning doctor's appointment, they leave to go to their doctor's appointment and they can't park. So I've been really pleased with that, and maybe it'd be worthwhile for both of us to go.
And in conversations with DEM staff in a brainstorming
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
not elevating
No,
up to any
it's-
execution, we have talked about remote parking as a potential solution. So this would not be a left field kind of
Yeah.
conversation. It's come up before.
Yeah.
Are they interested in doing anything additional in Galilee anywhere? Does that come up?
It didn't sound like there were any opportunities on the table, at least when we talked about them
This one
last.
across the street, just like diagonally across the street, just sold, right?
Oh, Pierce's lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rest are all owned by the Pierce is the only private lot down there.
So
And
they
the
can
rest of the
charge what they
properties are
want.
owned by the state, and they're either
And they're
run by the
leased.
state or leased out.
Yeah. Oh, so the two corner lots at the end of the escape road are
State property.
state.
But they're privately run.
Right.
Right.
How often does that come up, Mike? Was it-
Comes up to bid. I don't remember what the period of time is. I believe it's like every 3 to 5 years it comes up to bid. And, the state puts restrictions on how much can be charged, et cetera. But when there's no restriction, as you can see from the people who purchased the Joe Pierce's lot, the price goes high, sky high.
Is it over there? I haven't.
Dynamic pricing is what they use.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's more expensive on a Friday afternoon.
Is it less expensive during the week? I'm just curious with the dining, I've only heard the high end of the dynamic pricing. I don't know. During the week, I know people have been complaining about what it is on the weekend.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not clear when the person is paying for it, when they
It's-
go in, it's like when they leave, then they figure out.
Good
Good job.
Yeah, specifically posted what the rate is.
Right.
Because I think it changes, so.
Right, exactly.
Are
And
they
it's like
still doing
machines,
the-
like with like that you.
The annual
You know,
parking
so
pass?
it's.
Wow.
Right.
I know they were.
They raised it up.
Yeah.
Oh, did they?
It's actually, and this year.
Yeah.
For next year, it's gonna be way up, yeah.
I'm too cheap. But I know a lot of people really rely on that, particularly, I think that demographic skews older. Because
Closer,
it's closer, yeah.
especially in the
absolutely.
winter with
Yeah,
snow and ice.
yeah, absolutely.
Just to guarantee your spots there when you come back.
True.
Yes,
That's the
right.
Big thing.
I think that's the value of it, would be from my perspective. So Amy, I mean, do you think we could have this conversation, start, I mean, you've already started at achieve results, but you hit it on the head. It's really brainstorming. It's not like it's any particular entity's responsibility, but at some point that is.
Yeah, I think we can continue to have those conversations with DEM as well as the sensitivity to not just what the landscape is today, but if you lost another lot, what that would do, what that would do down there. Fortunately, the one that transferred is still being operated as a parking lot. But if you,
Yeah.
when you were contemplating taking those out of the mix, is really where we were talking about new ideas.
Right.
But yeah, we can continue that.
Or the other thing, Amy, is as those other properties come up for renewal, the state might say, okay, hey, listen, here's another option we have of relocating year-round passes from Block Island down a little bit farther, but that type of thing. So as opposed to leasing it out.
Yeah. So we'll work to keep those
Yeah.
relationships open.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really expensive. If you were to come out here for a couple of weeks, and park in those lots, it's like parking at Logan. Maybe more.
But I think that's the other reason we keep talking about it, is that if someone's coming for a couple weeks, they definitely bring their car over.
Right.
There is that tipping point where, and
It's
you
cheaper to bring
hit
yeah.
it pretty quickly where it's cheaper to bring your car. So,
Yeah.
unless you're parking in that, well, no, if you're parking in the expensive lot, it's one day, but, but the other lots that are less expensive, I mean, if you leave it a week, might as well bring it.
They're $20 a day, right, on the other
Yeah.
lot, so 3 days.
Or are they?
You're at $60. Yeah. Round trip is, I don't know, but not much more. But you're right.
How's business going?
The summer?
Yeah.
Yep, I think it was overall a good summer. July was, in my opinion, was an average July, but August was definitely a busy
Yeah.
month for us.
It's amazing when you have 30 straight days of sun.
And that it's all weather driven. It absolutely is. People bringing their cars out on the renters are going to come no matter what, but it's the day trippers it's all weather driven, as you all know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And September was like crazy beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The first couple Saturdays in September, we were, yeah.
So I may be incorrect here in my sense from the community, but I get a lot fewer. I've been on the council for, it'll be 5 years. I get a lot fewer complaints about the schedule than I used to.
Nice.
I don't know whether you do, and maybe people just got tired of calling me. So with those caveats, I have, I think you might have hit an off-season sweet spot. And now I'll get texts all nights. Are you crazy? But whatever. I do, and this is not a today issue. I would love to learn more about your thoughts around rate setting, cars versus passengers versus freight, because it's just something that I literally have no experience with and no understanding of. And it's, again, not I didn't want to drop it on you like you needed to do a tutorial today, but we do get, like Molly just alluded to it. I'm sure Tristan and Bill are the same. We do get a fair bit of, well, it's much cheaper to bring a car here and there's nobody, sort of all this stuff. And I don't really have a great answer for people because I don't have a lot of and I have no experience doing this sort of rate setting. So I think it would be, maybe sometime this winter when we have some time. I think that kind of almost like a tutorial on how you guys think about this and how the PUC thinks about it, and that would be really, really helpful. If only for us to be able to answer questions that we, the first call is probably to complain to you. The second call is probably to complain to Molly. I mean, it's
So here's the thing people bring up to me all the time. That they have to pay for their grandma cart now, right? But that's only on the high-speed ferry, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now when I know that somebody is complaining about paying for their grandma cart, they are taking the high-speed ferry. Okay. Because I was like, I don't think you have to pay.
Takes up more space than you do as a passenger.
Crimea River, you're like, you can afford that ticket and.
But it really makes it.
No, it does. I thought that was true, but I just wanted to clarify it. That seems to be the biggest thing I hear about. Not being a user of the cart on the ferry,
Interesting. Yeah.
not.
Did we have
Haven't really
somebody?
had that many people complain about it, though.
It's a weird thing that people bring it up to me a lot.
Yeah, it's
But-
most people purchase them online or
In
maybe
advance.
prior to they showing up.
These are also not people my age.
But, yeah, they probably don't understand the rationale in that.
Did somebody wanna ask, sir, you said you had a question? Well, you said you had a question?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
It was completely unrelated to anything else.
Is it related to the ferry?
What's a grandma?
Oh, those grocery carts.
The little wheelie cart, like the little collapsible wagons. Yeah, the people drag on and off the ferry with their stuff. That,
So I'm sorry, did you want to talk about the ferry?
No, there's some safety concerns that I just wondered about, but I don't know the answers to.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but does it relate to interstate navigation?
Absolutely not.
Okay, great. I wanted to make sure that we didn't skip over you if you had a question about that. Is there anything else?
actually, now I have a question. The handicap lift, that's on one ferry, right? The Block Island. So is that the ferry that's running in the winter? And so I guess my question too is like, if people are traveling in the summer and need to bring somebody in a wheelchair, do they contact you ahead of time to find out what ferry they can take?
Well,
Or
typically, when we have those calls come into the call center, the reservation office staff knows that there's only one ferry that has a wheelchair lift. And when they identify that they can't get up the stairs or any other circumstance where where they're not mobile, we typically tell them to be here early enough, find a line manager, and we typically ask them to wait in an area. And the mates are very, very good about bringing them up the lift, and they're always very appreciative. And we typically do keep an eye out for, older folks who might be having a difficult time walking, and give them an opportunity to get on first. And we have signs posted. So there's signs still out there that says, we have a sign posted. If you need assistance, please contact someone and keep your hand. So yes, I do feel like we do an okay job addressing those folks.
The problem is once the cars are on, like, you can't, so they need to be
Right.
ready for the cars.
no, exactly.
That's why we suggest. that
Right,
they-
right onto the center.
But they also get stuck in traffic. So a lot of times it's just too late to get them on.
But we do give them an opportunity to
Yeah.
sit downstairs. We have designated chairs that are stowed away and that can be taken out, and the crew sets them up like, on the stern, like underneath the stairwell type things. And if they want to ride like that, they can.
Any other questions? Anything for us? No,
so.
No,
this has been terrific and so valuable, just talking. It's great to meet you.
Nice to
Athena.
meet you.
I've not met you before. Good to see you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Oh,
Nice
to
see you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
For having it.
Thank you.
Well done. This is going on. Taking your car? Jesus. You good? Where's
We can come with us in the next floor. Yeah, where are your keys for your truck?
They're in.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. And you want me to just leave it in it on the main one? Yeah. So.
All right, guys. What do we have next? Item 2, discuss requiring boards, committees, and commissions to live stream their meetings. Couple things before we start this. First is, there's 2 of us here, Molly and me, who really worked on this issue when we were doing charter review. And I'm taking too much credit for myself, but it was a real priority for Molly. We did change the charter on this. The other is, and I feel like I say this every meeting, there are entities which we have purview over, and there are entities we have no purview over. And Nick, please kick me under the table if I'm wrong about this, but my understanding, for example, is that if an entity is a creature of statute, i.e. the Block Island Land Trust, our ability to say, hey, Block Island Land Trust, you are now required to broadcast your meetings. It's nice, but they don't, they're not required to follow our lead on that. Same thing with the school board, as I understand it. That you know, we could write and pass a resolution demanding that the school board broadcast their meetings, and the net impact of that could well be 0, because they don't have to listen. We can't even, and I think, Molly, you were on the council when we talked about doing this. Amy, you remember, we talked about potentially putting money into the school budget to pay for a system, let's say, at the school library where the school board meets, and found out that we can't even have specific line items that we require. We have to gross appropriate. Am I right in that? Yeah. So I just thought that was, I mean, I value this. I wish that every meeting was streamed. I think the school board especially is, I don't know why. I don't know what the issue is even. It's so easy to do now. I just don't get it. The other thing that I'm sure Millie thinks, Millie, how many are there any over which we have purview that aren't?
Yes, I have, I did a memo of you.
Oh, I missed that. I'm sorry. I thought that was just the request, to be perfectly frank.
Just review what is in the charter that's required to be,
Right.
is required, which means planning board, zoning board, conservation. Conservation, historic, police advisory, and public facilities review. And then I have a list of about almost 20 other entities that aren't required. A few do. There are some issues that come up with, with that, and that has to do with the fact that we have only one
Right.
enterprise license. And that only allows us to stream using that one Zoom platform. Although we have some others that do allow us to use Zoom, but we can't stream through it. We have different licensings that allow for different items. I certainly think that, like the housing board has started doing, streaming when they can. And I know Coastal Resilience is also doing that. So it's kind of a little bit of a catch as catch can with all of those others. If you wanted to make some kind of a mandate, I would ask us to just consider all of the logistics that would be involved in that, including, involving my office and the training
Yeah,
aspect.
I mean, I'm assuming that we don't have sufficient staff to be streaming these things.
It would be a much bigger lift than what we're
Yeah.
doing now.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So all the ones that are streaming and using that license, they're doing it from this room.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes, you can do it through a laptop. You get a pretty poor quality. But yes, that's the goal, is to get everybody into this room and streaming through this.
So it would be easy enough to schedule, since you have a schedule for this room.
Mhm.
It would be easy enough to schedule.
And
People
we,
may have to like.
and
move
we
their-
do, and we do schedule this for
Right.
for most of our meetings, yes.
So people might have to move their meeting time if they were, if they're every Monday at 7 o'clock, they might have to move to every Monday at 4 o'clock or something. Okay. So I agree with what you're saying, because that is exactly the truth. We cannot tell the school whether they have to do it or not.
Molly,
Clearly,
when you
but-
did the charter, was a school left out of it, or it couldn't be in it?
We cannot,
The
we don't have the authority to tell the school.
The school board and its functions are actually a separate section of the charter.
Okay.
And the statute basically says that we, as sort of the general government, don't have any authority to I'm sure this is an overstatement, but to require anything.
Gotcha.
I think I've
mean,
said, yeah, it's
Itch.
right. It's state statute,
Yeah.
like that that they're autonomous. Honestly, it doesn't mean we can't shame them about it. And I do know they're looking into it. Like I asked a school board member this week, because this was on the agenda. They said that they've put it out to bid
Oh, good.
for the equipment. It's just really slow going. But they are the largest share of our budget. I think that they owe that to the taxpayers, especially when it comes up to budget time and people don't have a clear idea. And our taxpayers are really generous. They always vote in favor of the school. So even without knowing exactly what's going on, but it'd be great if they did know what was going on.
Yeah, I know you've led this charge on this, and I agree with it 100%. And I think, to be honest, I think the school should be setting the example in the forefront from technology and everything else. So it's disappointing that it's not in place, but I hope it is soon.
Yeah. I mean, and the whole idea behind this is, so we started this pre-COVID,
Yes.
and then COVID kicked in while we were still doing it, and it became apparent that there was this whole other reason why it would be important. But the main reason why we started talking about it is that, probably 70% of our homeowners aren't here. They can't come to a meeting in February or November. But what if they had a zoning application up and they wanted to watch that meeting? And they've paid a lawyer to go to that meeting, but they want to see, how's my lawyer doing at that meeting? That we should give them that opportunity at the very least. And we have, and I think it's great.
And I've actually used it, I mean, it's very challenging just as a practical matter, as someone who has something of a life, to get to all of these meetings. But I will watch a planning board meeting, I will, and I do refer people to the YouTube channel to watch these things after they've happened, because it's not uncommon to have a story told 3 times and all of a sudden something totally different happened than what actually happened. It's nice to have a primary source.
And it's probably a considerable amount of savings for some people when their attorney can, like ours does. Our attorney is by Zoom and saves the flight being here and expense wise too. I know the board members can't, but some of that other staff, I mean.
So what do you think about the school board? Should we send them a letter that we're happy that they're looking into this, and hope it happens quickly, or what do you think we should do? No, I mean, I'm asking, and by the way, they're moving along. We don't have to do anything. This is a perfectly fine answer, but as long as we have it on our agenda, let's, talk about what we theoretically could do.
I mean, I want to be respectful of Millie's concern, right? Which is that we don't want to require more than we can than the staff can actually
I was just
handle.
talking about the school board especially.
Oh, school? Sure. Let's send them a letter and tell them, like, we hope that this works out really quickly. I mean, I'm a broken record. They hear from me all the time.
Ask for an update.
Yes.
Ask for an update.
On that
That's a
bidding
good idea.
process.
That's a good
Installation. Well, they wanted to do some more community outreach on some of these future projects that
Yes.
they may or may not get into. That'd be one
Yes,
way to engage with the public or go to a meeting.
100%.
But then this room, I mean, we had challenges today, we had 2 meetings going on.
Yeah.
Before we make a decision, I'd like to, understand the whole picture, financial too,
Yeah.
the licensing. I didn't realize that. One thing I've just been educated on.
I mean, they would have to get
Multiple
their own
licenses to get-
licensing account, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, right. And
Amy, would you like us to draft such a letter, or would you? I'm just being mindful of putting too much stuff on your plate.
I think we can do that.
Okay.
But I would
Millie's
also
gonna do
say,
it.
if there's somebody in the public that's listening to this meeting and they wish that they could watch a school committee meeting, then they should write a letter to the school committee.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gotten communication about this from people in the community. So, but if you feel this way, write the school committee and tell them that you hope they'll do this really soon. You'd love to watch their meetings. I mean, there's no harm in that.
Hopefully that new appointee would be very proactive towards it.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
But the Conservation Commission is the other one that has been at issue. I would love to watch their meetings myself. No, not conservation. What is it?
Coastal resilience.
No, what's the land trust?
Land trust.
Land trust. Yeah. So,
Now, I hadn't really thought this through, but as I'm looking at this very helpful memo, there are some here that are really important, but that honestly, I probably wouldn't watch. But things like housing board, which is making progress, like the public safety complex, for the same reason that Tristan's alluded to with the school. Some of those would be helpful to see.
And since we've been meeting in this room, we typically do,
Oh, you do?
we
Okay,
typically
great.
do stream
Oh,
because we can,
oh, gotcha.
even though we're not
I
required.
honestly, I didn't
Yeah.
even know to look for it.
Mhm.
Oh, that's great. So, you know, not mostly because I think it'd be helpful to get word out about sort of what an exhaustive process that group is going through
And-
on this project.
I guess, can I ask Millie a question, which is,
Yes.
for that list of others that are not required to, do some of them take that approach, which is if they're in the room and they can, they do, or not necessarily?
I think that in some cases they do. I think in quite a few cases, they just don't have this training in the staff. So could they get there? Yes, but are they there now? No.
Right. So on things like planning, zoning, conservation, does someone from the building department initiate and do the,
Yes.
so like Jen Brady will do it?
Yeah, Jen or Amanda both have,
Gotcha.
both handle that.
Gotcha. And, you know, on things like harbor shellfish, could Katie theoretically be trained to?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's just a matter of training. And I believe that, I mean, right now we are making things work in this room. So if the room is available, then, you know, we can stream from it. So it's just, you know, it's just a matter of training. There are some issues about retention, retention. We have, if you record it, it becomes a permanent record, those kinds of things. So they're just like, there's a couple layers to the onion that we just need to make sure that, the people that the staff understands.
Yeah.
And there are technical issues regularly. And I've worked with the system all the time and it still causes me problems. So the mandate is just something that's a little uncomfortable to me, because, we have glitches and then sometimes we just don't have the technical skills to deal with them, depending on our levels as well. So
what if we with our input, we said over the next year, getting these two would be great. Over the year after that, getting the,
I think we can make progress over it.
Yeah.
I think that we can,
we're making
Yeah.
a ton, that's
Sure.
by the way, where we should have started.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, when you think about how little time it's been,
Mhm.
it's incredible how much more is available.
Yeah. No, and I feel like that this is something that we can certainly make progress on. I just don't want it to be a mandate at this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, good. We good? All right then. Item 3, transfer station. Do you want to start? Bill want to start? Don want to start?
Yeah, sure, I'll go with that. I had asked this to put on agenda because, so we as a council could talk about it. I first want to say, I recognize there's a much bigger plan and process with the transfer station, between the compactor and regulations and things that are going to need to be done, whether it's in the next 2, 3, 5, or 6 years. And that's very comprehensive, very expensive. And so I get that. So this conversation really is not meant at addressing that. What happened was I had gone down one time and, I went in and I have to say that the property is always immaculate. It's graded. It looks great. You look up at the building and the building's tired, real tired, from the sense of, whether if you go in, there's some holes in the roof. The front is rusted out. And so as I looked at it, I think, boy, that's too bad. When you look at the property, because it's really, it's almost an eyesore. So my thought was, and I recognize that in the future, that building may come down, may be moved or whatever it might be. So I get the fact of not wanting to dump a ton of money into it But my thought was, is there something that can be done that is, short-term, maybe cosmetic, whether it's, a cheap paint job or something along the front, that would at least make it aesthetically look better, because I don't foresee something happening in the next, I'll say year to make Sean happy, but with probably the next couple of years by the time we get to it, that we could make the building look a little more presentable. And I don't know, and so that this would be a question that if the rest of you thought it was worth exploring, that if we could maybe have the Public Works Department say, what are our options? What could we do, whether it be paint or whatever it might be? And then if maybe it's 5,000, 10,000, maybe it's 30,000, I don't know. Enough, like I said, I'm talking more from a cosmetic standpoint of view to carry it through. And I thought if we had that number, then when we come into a budget season, then we have an option or a choice. So that's where it's coming from there. Definitely do not want to get into the bigger concept of what has to happen down there. I think I would wait for the proper timing from the Public Works and Amy for that. So that was just my thought looking.
Yep. Is it, it's like, I sort of feel, I'm gonna joke that I feel like if we painted it, you don't want to touch it in some.
It's like the state garage. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Epoxy.
Epoxy, exactly. Yes. Yes.
So I would say, and obviously Sean and I haven't talked about this, that our focus has been on the longer term and more fundamental aspects. So I think if you would like the staff to peel off and spend some time on cosmetic and aesthetic interim work, I'd like that to be a consensus of the council. Because I feel like we're starting a pretty intensive exercise that's focused very differently. So
I think it's important to note that we're talking about this, and I'm the most guilty at this table. It's been on the list ever since I've been on the council, and every year it gets pushed back. And I take responsibility for me that the answer to that question really is kind of where are we in terms of the bigger planning? Because if that's 5 years away, that might change my answer.
we are at the beginning of the planning process. And we have some timelines that are set forth by DEM, who did an inspection in June, and we've just gotten their inspection report, and that has a timeline on it.
Gotcha.
And that relates to the slope, the revetment, and the landfill itself. And so there are a couple different elements to that.
Gotcha.
None of which inform what our priorities have been,
Yep.
which is reconfiguration, efficiency of space, how to fit all the things we need. So those are going to converge. We'll have to have started some work by spring of next year.
But by at the direction of DEM.
Yep.
presume. Yeah.
But with a timeline to completion on the mandated things versus the
Sure.
plan that we put together for what we want to accomplish is still to be determined.
Right.
So if we have to complete some things by next spring,
We have to start some things by next
start
spring.
some things by next spring, are these things free, these things that we're starting, or
No.
because they weren't in the budget? So
No.
what's,
And we don't, I'm not prepared to talk numbers or details or
Right.
implementation. Jim and Mike and I have a call tomorrow morning to
okay.
be working on that. And we sort of in a parallel path had a meeting of BIC and Sean, the town, last week, I think, to sort of keep everybody on the composting path as well. So all these things are sort of running
Yeah.
concurrently. I'd say we have at this point 4 or 5 different paths that are operating. So some of those will start soon, some of them will take longer. My personal perspective on the aesthetics, yes, sure, it'd be great to not see holes in the building and put some paint on it. And I think the work that Berm does to keep that facility as neat as it is, I don't want to say mitigates the condition of the facility, but it certainly puts its best foot
It's very
forward.
Yes.
So
But the things that we're going to start to have to be done, it sounds like none of those are the building itself. Is that correct?
no, the challenge with the building is always that we know that it is at the end of its life. But there's a reluctance to rebuild it where it is because we know it's not the most efficient use of the layout. And we are so crunched for space there that investing in that structure without having a sense for where all the pieces need to move around the playing field is throwing money away.
I understand that. But, and that's the reason where I was saying, you know, what would, and I don't know what it would cost to spray just the outside front of it, you know, with some paint. Yeah, will it rust back through in 2 or 3 years? Maybe it will. But you come down now, you look at that building and it's, you know, we talk about the state garage. It's not much different, you know, from that end of it. And I just think that, I just think there's something to just make it look aesthetically a little bit better, or what the cost would be. I mean, I have no idea. To just spray, to say to do a coat of spray paint on the thing, and I'm not talking about grind out metal and cut it. I mean, just, you know, like I agree with you. If this thing's coming down, hopefully, you know, to me it sounded like this is more to the 3 to 5 year that this will be adjusted than it is sooner to that. There's some way we can make it look aesthetically a little bit better at a minimal cost. If it comes back, it's $150,000, $4,000 to do it. That's not what I'm talking about, you know, but if there's some way, I just like to see what the number would be, you know, for that end of it. And then,
Can you give us a sense of that, Amy? How much does it, how much
Yeah.
would it cost?
I can-
I didn't mean right now. And then,
Yeah, I
you
just
know, it's hard
needed
to have this.
needed a little consensus from the council to spend the time to pull back some numbers, but we can pull some together. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should dive into it. It's an all metal building, correct? Everything, trusses, everything's metal. So it's a very, it's a pole
Really?
barn. Only metal on the outside. The trusses are not stud.
are the trusses rotted? It's a guess.
Given where he sits, Sean hopes not.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
No, no, come on up here. No.
Go to this one, that's better.
Amy, you did a very good job of summarizing that without getting too much in detail, but I think we're going to need some repairs to the building to get us to that point at this point. And I think a ridge cap and maybe some sheeting on the front of the building would extend it, you know, 10 years. I mean, that's my thought, is that we're going to need 10 years out of the building. So I think you should investigate doing some repairs. You know, I don't think paint is a necessity, but you know, the ridge cap and the sheeting on the front, which is blows off in windstorms. So that's,
Does it get windy up there?
it does.
I thought there was reports done on all of our buildings. They may be old, but is there a file of our properties?
There's a file of our properties. It doesn't necessarily have, it's not a condition report, if you will.
Oh, there is not, no structural
No.
within that.
I mean, the last structural full analysis is that I've seen is probably 10, 15 years old.
And to follow up what Shona said, I'm not locked on paint. I don't care whether it's sheeting, just something so aesthetically it looks a little bit better. So, and what is the most cost-effective way, knowing that we're looking at hopefully the 7-year time frame or whatever it might be, so.
So if we were to like follow Sean's recommendation and look into the price of a ridge cap and sheathing for the front of the building, would that be in conflict with what the DEM is asked? I mean, is that gonna in any way upset the
No.
request? Okay.
And then we've been responsible all these years for maintenance on that building.
You know what? I think can answer that better. I think it's probably one of those where we're responsible for any capital, which we haven't put into that building in a material way beyond doors and repairs.
Well, I've installed some.
You've done some too. Yeah.
We're maintenance facility. Now, what does that entail?
Oh, sorry.
So we're responsible for maintenance of the facility, but what exactly does that entail? We do our best with the grounds, keeping the litter clean, working on some fence repairs. We replaced some doors, but making large capital improvements to something that the town owns, when we're on 3-year contracts, wouldn't make sense for us to do that. So we do our best to maintain it. We're not building experts, so but we do assist. And anytime a contractor comes to work at the facility, we provide tools, labor, transportation, whatever we can to facilitate that. We do assist. We work very well together as a cooperative, the town and the contractor. So.
I guess my take on this is I'd love to know whether there are near-term things that you and Mike and I guess Tom and Sean think we really ought to do. Like this is my first time hearing about the ridge cap, for example. I don't even really know what a ridge cap is. I have a feeling I know what it is, but if there are things that would for the short term shore up that building, I think we probably ought to do it, or at least consider what a budget might be for that. But it matters to me. I think Bill said this. It matters to me whether it's $15,000 or $150,000. I literally have no idea what we'd be talking about. None whatsoever. Although doing some work at our house, it's very clear to me that I haven't done construction for almost 20 years, because if I had hair, it would be standing on end.
And I have no idea either. And I think we need a starting point at that. I just, I think that from where Amy sits, she's hearing about, we got a school we want to fund, there's a fire department, there's all these things we have out there. And then, usually transfer stations kind of ends up getting put to the back burner unless it's required to by DM from that end of it. And so I just think it's one of those things. It's like, you just don't want it to get lost in the shuffle. And I know because of the mandates, that aspect won't, but anyways.
And then just to be clear, the revetment, that's not finished. That's only gone through a couple of phases, right? And there's a whole nother portion there still to go. So that's major.
And that's not the fun money that you spend. You see the results.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, you have to do maintenance on your buildings every year, preventative maintenance, something. Otherwise they'll fall down.
So if you need a consensus would everybody be in agreement that maybe it would be worth looking into these guys with Sean, maybe finding out how much a ridge cap and sheathing the front would be, or whether they all agree that that's necessary, or?
I think I've had enough.
Yeah,
Great. Terrific.
okay.
Great. Wheel Square.
Thank you.
A motion to adjourn. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed. Oh, shit. Come on up.
Hi, my name is John Rayner,
One
and I'm concerned